The lullaby of Broadway, Broadway and Ballyhoo, the lullaby of Broadway. All right, Happy New Year, everybody. Let me stop that. There you go. Okay, I'm back. Happy New Year. I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for joining me for my last Theater Talks with Scott of 2022. And what I decided to do, I don't like picking favorites. I don't like choosing, oh, that's my favorite or this is my favorite. You guys know that. But I decided that I wanted to do my top 10 theater experiences that I have had in the last year. Now, these are my personal theater experiences, not my top 10 best shows or blah, blah, blah. These are experiences I had in 2022. Speaking of, I had 79 theatrical experiences. I went through and counted. I went through my calendar. 79. Wow, in 2022. That's just amazing. And half of it, 40, was in New York. I mean, I've been all over. I went to 3 different places in North Carolina. I was in South Florida, Chicago. Did I go to Chicago this year? That was last year. I can't remember. Anyway, because I go where there's theater, but 40 in New York. So anyway, let's get to it. My top 10. And I wanted to share with you a little bit of, hold on, how do I do this? There it is. A couple of shows that I found locally. And this is one of the theaters that I just love what they're doing. Theater West End in Sanford. All of their shows were great this year. I got to see all of them, but In the Heights, I'm going to say is one of my top 10 experiences this year because they did it. The Theater West End is a very small, very intimate space in Sanford, Florida. And what they did, the quality of this show and the performance that they did in the Heights was just amazing. The way that they used space, but also the casting to find that many talented performers and actors. In the Heights, Lin-Manuel Miranda's masterpiece In the Heights is not your standard, 4 principals, a few cameos, and then everybody else's ensemble. There's a lot of speaking, singing, acting roles in the Heights. There's a variety of ages and types and everything, and they nailed it. Really good job, Derek, and your group at Theater West End. I just was blown away by that performance, and that's one of my top favorites. Another one that I'm going to say was my top favorite here locally was at my friend Whitney and Jason's professional theater, The Studio, Tierra del Sol, here in the Villages. Well, I'm not in the Villages, but the Villages is like my backyard. Their theater is affiliated with the Sharon Performing Arts Center, which they also run. They did Urinetown back in January. Now, I saw Urinetown on Broadway, loved it, really enjoyed it, saw it with the original Broadway cast, Hunter Foster and all. But their performance of Urinetown, they took the satirical aspects of the show and went further with it. And it really brought it home. It really did an amazing production. Gary Powell, your music direction for the show was amazing. And my friend Whitney, who I've seen Whitney in a variety of roles. I mean, Dollhouse, Diana in Next to Normal, Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. But her Miss Pennywise, it was a different Whitney that I've seen. I loved it, the versatility of you as an actress. I loved that show, Urinetown. I got to see it twice, and I brought a lot of people to see it. They all loved it, and it was a big, big hit. So those would be my other show that is in my top 10 that was local. Now to my New York top 10. Well, and now it would be the top 8. We're going to start with this one, A Strange Loop. A Strange Loop, which I'm wearing my t-shirt, A Strange Loop, which I love. A Strange Loop, I got to see it in previews before it opened, knowing hardly anything about it. And the experience as a gay man of a certain age, sitting there watching this musical. The musical is about a big, black, young, queer man writing a musical about a big, large, black, young, queer man writing a musical. That's the loop. And he leaves Michael R. Jackson, the playwright, who wrote the music, the story, the lyrics. He left it all out there. He did not shield it. I mean, those of us in I'm not gonna go there, but I'm just gonna say he left everything on the stage. And I was seeing it in previews. I saw it like 3 or 4 days before it opened, so I didn't know what to expect. Sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. I went back in December and saw it a second time because I had to. And it was just as impactful, if not maybe more. I really loved it. It was a great, great experience, an important work of art that I wish more people could see. A Strange Loop. That definitely in my top 10. Um, the other one I don't have a playbill for because it was off Broadway, but I put on this cape and this hat to kind of give you the Oscar Wilde type, because in a man of no importance, that classic stage company put on, Alfie Burns, the lead guy, he kind of has a thing with Oscar Wilde. He's trying to do Oscar Wilde's play, Salome. So, and Oscar Wilde, the hat, the black cape. I don't have the green carnation, but anyway, that was my homage to that because, like the two local theaters, Theater West End and the Studio, classic stage company and a number of off Broadway theaters, they are doing all of their programs now online. Get it on your phone. Um, it saves money. Now I love my playbills, so Broadway don't listen, but it saves money, it saves the environment, they can put more information in. It's great. And I really, really respect that. I like that. I asked my friend Whitney at the studio when they were said they're not going to bring playbills back, and that's what they're doing. And I'm like, really? Does it really save that much money? She's like, $100,000. I'm like, holy crap, for a small theater like that, that's a major deal. Yes, save that. I will look it up on my phone. And now I'm all about it. Anyway, A Man of No Importance. You know what? You can watch the video that I created. Um, I was broken. I was vulnerable. I was hurt. I'm sitting on the front row of a very intimate show, seeing these amazing performers tell this amazing Terrence McNally story. Um, and it really impacted my life. We will see down the road, it may have changed my life. So definitely that's in my top 10 theater experiences of this year. That was a longer video. If you go back and watch that video, um, it's a longer video, but it's a lot of emotion and it's my heart. So that would be it. Another one, this should surprise nobody that follows me. Company. Marianne Elliott's brilliant staging and reimagination of this 1970s classic musical Company that was all about love and marriage in 1970. Love and marriage has changed and it looks differently. And Marianne Elliott created that. She worked closely with Sondheim in rewriting and redoing, gender swapping. It was a phenomenal show. I saw it 4 times. Um, Amazing Patti LuPone, Matt Doyle, both won Tony Awards. As a gay man who has been through what I have been through in my life, to watch that song, Not Getting Married Today, be sung by a man and have a man who's getting married to another man say, I'm the next bride. You just don't know what that means. What an experience. Next experience, Ohio State Murders. Thank you, Mark Levine, Gemini Productions, for making sure I knew about this show and inviting me. He invited me. He's one of the producers of this show, and he invited me a couple days before the show opened to a producer's pre-party, which was great. I got to meet a few people. I got to meet Mark face to face finally, and I have my picture taken with him. It's on my page. But then to see this play by Adrienne Kennedy, her Broadway debut at 91, this female Black playwright who has received all kinds of awards, finally got her Broadway debut. And of course, it's Audra McDonald. Audra McDonald, the nuances that she does, the way she plays 2 different roles. It's the same character, but it's supposed to be younger and current. She does them both. Kenny Leon directed, brilliant direction, brilliant play, brilliant experience. I'm so lucky that I got to have that experience. 2 days before the show opened, there were famous theater critics all around me. It was an amazing experience. Ohio State Murders. And I'm going to go out and say Audra McDonald, who is right now our most honored actress by Tony Awards, 6 Tony Awards, maybe number 7. Okay. My next, Paradise Square. Now, you guys, I am getting a little weary, I guess is the word, with jukebox musicals. I really am. I mean, I still am a fan. I love them. I love theater. Um, and taking movies to musicals. I mean, I loved Some Like It Hot. I mean, really, it's a brilliant production. Um, but I want original work. I want original music. I want to walk into the theater not knowing anything about it, like I did with The Strange Loop and like I did with Paradise Square. Again, I got to see it in previews. I got to see a lot of shows in previews, and I got to see it before it opened, so I knew nothing. And the show, I think, is incredible. AJ Shively did a beautiful performance as Owen. He also was in A Man of No Importance, and I was looking at his headshot before the show started, and I know that name, I know that person. Once he walked on stage, I'm like, that's Owen from Paradise Square. I know immediately who he was. Brilliant actor. I'm following him now too. This show, great. My experience, the thing that really got me was the big 11 o'clock number. Let It Burn by Joaquina Calacango. She won a Tony Award for this. You can YouTube this because the show is gone, and that's sad what happened to it and the bad producer and things. But when we were watching Let It Burn, and we didn't know what to expect, this is previews. This is before it had been out there. I was so enraptured with her, and the tears are streaming down her face and streaming down my face. She's shaking, I'm shaking. And as she's holding that last note that she holds for forever, I remember this very clearly. It started out with finger snaps and it led to standing and applauding and screaming, bravo. We stopped the show. Literally, they had to change the lights and the cast had to step forward for us to sit down and let the show continue. A great show. I'm sorry so many of you missed it. I loved it. I got to see it twice. I hope it comes back some way. Um, Next is a play that I had heard about. I had heard about Matthew Spangler's book, The Kite Runner from, I mean, I think it was like a decade ago or longer that it came out. I figured I was going to miss the show because it had a limited run. Plays, especially now in the climate that we have, that attendance is down and audiences aren't trusting and aren't coming back and that type of thing. Plays have limited runs. This one, I think, got 3 or 4 months, and it was set up that way. Plays are set up to have limited runs, most of them. And so, 4 months is a good run for a straight play. The Kite Runner, I didn't think I was going to see. And then my friends, Whitney and Jason, who I mentioned earlier, announced that they were producers. It was the first time they had been part of a producing team and in this show. And I'm like, well, now I have to see it because I support my friends. I sat on the front row and I was in the story. You guys, I can still see it all. I was in it. I was a bystander, but I was there. Nothing else mattered. Nothing else existed. It was me and them. It was a beautiful experience that I sat there when the show was over and I didn't want to get up and leave. It was a great experience, as near perfection performance as I could hope for. I hope it gets some recognition with the Tony Awards. It's going to be a heavy season for the non-musicals, but this one was great. Another one, though, that is definitely going to be in the running is Leopoldstadt. And what I was just saying about plays get a short life. This play opened the beginning of October. And when I was up there in December, it was announced that it was extending its run all the way to July. That's in this climate, that is a huge, huge deal. I love this play. Tom Stoppard, it may be his finest play. It's definitely my favorite of his that I've read or seen. It's a huge, huge cast. So the fact that they're extending for all these extra months and have the money to do it, that tells you how popular this show is, how good it is. It's a huge, huge cast. You know what the story is. It's Jewish family in the 1900s, in the 20th century, all throughout the 20th century. I think it spans 50 years. It's before World War II. We know what's going to happen to the Jews in World War II in Austria and in Europe. We know what happens. And yet when it happens and when it's talked about, it's a gut punch. And the cast is brilliant. The production was phenomenal. I loved it. It's still running through July. Go see it. The Leopoldstadt. It's at the Longacre Theater. I love that show. Now my last is another original musical, Kimbo. And let me tell you something. If we're going to talk Tony Awards, Bonnie Milligan for Best Supporting Actress in a Musical and Victoria Clark for Best Lead Actress in a Musical. They both have to be nominated. And so far, from what I've seen of musicals that qualify, now we have a whole other half of a season still to come. But what I've seen so far, there should be no contending. They've got it. This musical was beautifully done. Again, it's an original musical. David Lindsay Bear, Janine Tesori, she did Fun Home. Really a great show. Very heartwarming, very loving. It's a serious, hard topic. Victoria Clark plays Kim, who is 17 years old, but has that disease. I forget what it's called, where you age rapidly and you die young. And so you have gloom and pain and grief all hovering above this beautiful, fun play about humanity and about doing the right thing and being right and being good. A beautiful play, and it ends on a huge up note that I don't want to ruin. I just want to tell you, you come out of there feeling so good and so hopeful for humanity. I love this musical. So that's my top 10. I got an honorable mention. I had to do one more. It's an off-Broadway play. I was able to be at the world premiere of a brand new play by Mansa Ra or Ray. I don't know how they pronounce their last name. It's R.A. This was at the Laura Pels Theater, which I've talked about before. I love that theater. It's roundabout What the End Will Be. 3 generations of Black men that it's love. They undergo love, loss, identity. One of the things that I love about it, you find out through the play that all 3 men are gay. The grandfather, his son, and the grandson. And at the beginning of the play, I don't know if you knew that they're all gay yet, but the son has a friend who comes downstairs who swishes his way downstairs, Antoine. And he is very effeminate and very gender neutral in his dress, very feminine. And the grandfather, who's this 80-something-year-old Black man in the South, this takes place in Georgia, it's contemporary, it's current. I know that man. And that man says, when he meets Antoine, says, "Excuse me, is there a certain pronoun that you would prefer I use in referring to you?" And that rocked me, that an 80-year-old Southern Black man would be that, I don't want to use the term woke, I hate it, but would be that aware and that sensitive to say, "What's the pronoun you want me to use with referring to you?" That moved me. And then the play just went on to really get me. It's no longer playing. I encourage my friends in the regional world, other theaters, look at the possibility of doing this. It's a beautiful show. What the End Will Be. So that's it. That's my top 10. That's 2022, you guys. Listen, Theater Talks with Scott is going through some changes. We are going to make things better. We're going to be doing a lot more consistent videos. I want to know what you want me to talk about. Obviously, when I go see a show, you want me to talk about the show and what my experience was and give you some feedback. And I want to do that. But what else do you want to hear? I've had a couple of requests of talking about like overall theater experiences, some things, not just like what I've seen, but as I look back, those type of things. So I'm planning different stuff, but I really want to hear from you. I want to engage with you more. I want to know what you want, what you like about my videos, what you don't like. Let me know. I might change it, I might not. You just don't know, because this is mine. But I'm open to hearing from my friends here that I've made at Theater Talks with Scott. I hope you have a fantastic new year. 2023, in 2022, I saw 79 shows. How about in 2023? 93? That's a lot, but let's go for it. Let's leave on a little bit of Lullaby of Broadway. Good night and goodbye 2023. Thanks for being with me. Love you all. Mwah.